Good morning, everyone. I'm Gillian Cameron. I'm the Programme Manager of the Supplier Development Programme who's hosting this event today, and I'm really delighted on behalf of our board and our headline partners, Scottish Government and Scotland Excel, to chair today's panel discussion with the Procurement Centres of Expertise. I think this is a first to have all four on board at our event and to participate, so I thank them very much. I would also like to just thank Nikki Archer for her presentation earlier. We're delighted to be working with Scottish Government and helping open up opportunities to help support SMEs and social enterprises and how to bid for contracts. And hopefully today will give you a good insight into how you can do that and how you can improve those connections. Before I start, procurement is often full of a lot of jargon. So let's kind of start at the beginning about who's here today. The Centres of Expertise, or the COEs, are the procurement organisations which promote collaboration and publish framework contracts on behalf of particular sectors. So we have representation today here from central government, local authority, higher education and the NHS. Now, some of you that are new to tendering may not know what a framework agreement is. So a quick synopsis on that is it's an agreement, an arrangement that can be made between one or more contracting authorities, which are the buyers, with one or more suppliers. It establishes the terms, in particular the terms as to price and where appropriate quality, under which the supplier will enter into one or more contracts with contracting authorities in the period defined as part of the framework agreement. So just before I introduce you to our panel, I'd just like to highlight that we have got our app today and that you can ask the questions on our app. We also have a poll on there, so we're really keen to understand how you feel the event's going and also how you find the session today. And we definitely look for your feedback as part of our supplier survey to understand is there other areas you would like to see participate and meet the buyer, and also any other topics you would like to hear about. So there is two polls running for this session. One is about, has the panel discussion helped you understand a bit more how frameworks work? And the second one is about, following this session, are you more likely to bid for a framework? So we're hoping the answer might be yes. Today's session is a high-level discussion on frameworks and the Centre of Expertise opportunities. We are hosting a webinar with Scotland Excel on the 27th of June, titled Understanding and Bidding for Frameworks and Dynamic Purchasing Systems. You can book that through the STB website, and if you've attended today, you'll already be registered on the website, so it's easy just to find that event and book on there. So, I would now like to welcome the panel organisations from Scottish Government, NHS National Services, Scotland Excel and APUC. And I'd like them to introduce themselves and provide a little bit of background on their organisation. So I'm going to start with Claire, because she's at this side of me. Thank you, Claire.
Hello. My name is Claire McCallum. I'm Head of Strategic Sourcing and the Deputy Chief Executive for Angus Warren at APUC, who's delegated this to me today because he can't make it. We're the Centre of Expertise for Universities and Colleges in Scotland. We do a lot of work, obviously, with our Scottish institutions, but we do a lot of work with the UK University Purchasing Consortia. There's 5 other consortia south of the border. So we do a lot of joint working across that as well. But obviously, we have a lot of work that we do up here with regards to a lot of regional and technical lotting, because obviously SME engagement is really important for us. With regards to our framework agreements, our total value we have is about 770 million, but again, that includes the UK spend that will be down south as well. We have approximately 366 unique suppliers on our framework agreements, of which 270 are SMEs. So that's about 73–74% goes through SMEs. So again, very, very important to us. We do a lot of market engagement to try and understand who would be interested in bidding for work, and then based on that and our users, institutions, on their user base as well, we then structure our framework agreements into those different types of lots to encourage people to bid. With regards to sort of third sector suppliers, we don't have any on our frameworks currently. We do have a supplier on our Scottish business, on supported business on our furniture agreement, which is about to go out to tender at the end of this month. So we're doing market engagement to try and get some more supported businesses on that. But one thing we do is we heavily support the Scottish Government supported business framework to a lot of our institutions, and we have someone dedicated in our team who works with Scottish Government to promote that to our institutions with regard to supported businesses. So that's a bit about ourselves at APUC. I think we're one of the smaller consortia out of all of us. Pass on to yourself.
Thank you. On to Julie.
Hi everyone, my name's Julie Welsh, I'm the Chief Executive at Scotland Excel. Scotland Excel is the centre of expertise for local government, and we've got around 70 frameworks valued at about £2 billion a year. So local economic development and community wealth building has been part of our ethos since we came into being in 2008. So we always try to ensure that our frameworks are accessible for suppliers of all sizes, but in particular SMEs, because what's maybe a wee bit different about us is that we're governed by a joint committee of 40 elected members across Scotland. So they are really, really passionate about making sure that Scottish suppliers are given every opportunity to win work. The proportion of SMEs in our frameworks has always been high, and that's not by chance, that's been by design, and again that's part of our governance. So of our 1,042, we've got 1,042 SMEs across our frameworks. 3/4 of all suppliers are SME and 3/4 of those are Scottish. And we've done a huge amount to encourage the third sector and supported businesses as well. We've got numerous third sector organisations, particularly on our care frameworks. 75% of providers on our children's frameworks are third sector, and 25% of the providers on our adults frameworks are third sector. But we are passionate about supported businesses, and if Alistair's here, hopefully he would agree that that's something that's very close to our heart. We've got a number of supported businesses on our frameworks. We've got Hey Girls, we've got City Building, we've got Scotland's bravest manufacturing company. And in fact, SBMC received nearly £800,000 on our last signage framework, and they've recently been successful in gaining a place in the new one. So to finish off, we are committed to working with suppliers, contractors and providers of every size and type. If you want to know more about us, I'll be around all day, but we also have a stand out there with 8 of the team, and they'll be happy to assist you.
That's great. That's great, Julie. Thank you for that. Scotland Excel are also, as one of our partners, are speaking later on as well, so you'll have an opportunity to hear directly from them too. And as Julie says, you can go up and visit their stand. Right, and I'd like to invite Gordon to introduce himself.
Yeah, morning everybody. I'm Gordon Beattie. I'm Director of National Procurement at NHS Scotland. So we provide what we call Category B contracts. So these are the contracts that are used typically across all of our hospitals. So common items, and we try to put together frameworks for those that our health boards then can use. So we work really closely with our health boards. We have our procurement teams across our health boards, and together our frameworks are about £1.5 billion. When we look back into 23-24 stats, about 300 frameworks awarded, and about 64% of the suppliers awarded under our frameworks are SMEs. So that's pretty good. When you look at the spend across NHS Scotland, and this is all of NHS Scotland spend, it's probably about 50-50 split between large companies and small, medium enterprises in terms of the spend of about £3 billion. So quite a big number goes into our SMEs. And again, as Julie says, we prepare our frameworks and we prepare our tenders in a way to allow the majority of people to be able to compete across different lots, and breaking it down into smaller units, either regional or for particular products. So that's again how we do. My health board that I work for is National Services Scotland, and we spend about 1.5 billion. That'd be nice. 1.5. Thanks, Alistair. 1.5 million a year of supported businesses, including our uniforms contract, where we have our supply chain partners from Haven who help us with the manufacture of our nursing uniforms. So again, like Julie, very much focused on SMEs and also our broader supply chain through supported businesses as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. And finally, but by no means least, back to Nikki.
I think you've heard enough from me, but my name's Nikki Archer. I am Deputy Director in the Scottish Procurement and Property Directorate, and I'm Head of the Procurement and Commercial Policy and Strategy Division. So within our Directorate, we are accountable for setting legislation and policy, procurement policy for Scotland, and we try to take a uniquely Scottish approach to meet the needs of what we need in Scotland, aligned to our national performance framework and the outcomes that ministers are seeking to deliver for the people of Scotland. We lead and run national procurements on behalf of the whole public sector. We lead and run specific procurements for the Scottish Government, and we provide a centre of expertise support for all other kind of core central government organisations, non-departmental public bodies, agencies where required. And I think that's, and I won't give you all the stats because I gave you plenty earlier. Thank you.
Nikki. Right, we do have questions coming in through the app, but we also have a roving mic if anyone wants to put their hand up and ask any questions in the audience too. So we'll start with one of the first questions that's come in. How does Scottish Government decide which contracts should be procured via a national framework?
So we've got, we're really rich in management data. And so within, we know what the public sector spends. We know which organisations spend it and with whom and on what. And we've used that through time to identify where we're all buying the same. And therefore, it just makes sense to consider coordinating that together on a national basis. But buying national doesn't mean a monolithic contract that nobody can access. Buying national might mean, significant lotting, regional approach. That's all at the heart of what we're doing. But it's all based on the data. And we continue to review that and see where we think there might be further opportunity and look at, if it's not Scottish Government that should be leading a national procurement, but somebody else has got the expertise, one of the other centres of expertise leading a national contract.
Thank you. Next question is, what sectors have up-and-coming opportunities in your framework forward plans? So I think maybe we'll need to look at the individual organisations to talk about that. So obviously the businesses here today are keen to find out if there's anything that's going to be procured that's going to suit them. So can we have some ideas on that, please?
You kind of put us on the spot a wee bit. I don't have the forward plan with me, but Sharon's going to talk about that a wee bit later as part of our presentation. But all of our stuff is publicly available. It's all on PCS. It's all on our website. So please have a look there.
I was going to say the same. So what you'll look, if you look on our website, if you just Google for national procurement, the annual report, and in the annual report, all of our health boards and all of our public sectors in Scotland require to put a forward plan in. So if you go into that document, you'll find that in there. The other thing to do, as Nikki said in our previous discussion, is register for Public Contract Scotland. Make sure you're in there because you'll get your alerts and that'll allow you to see what's coming up and allow you to complete. So I would say that's the one thing you do is do that. But the purpose of our annual reports is not only just to tell folk what we're doing, to demystify what's happening in our sectors, but it was absolutely to try and give that forward forecast and forward plan so people can say, right, I'll get myself ready to bid for that one. So please use those documents.
I did bring a forward plan. Anyway, just a few things that we've got out just now. Our academic integrity and assessment systems is one of our IT agreements that are out just now, as well as our general lab equipment. So they're both out to tender. We do have an APUC stand with staff on it that can give you more information with regards to that. But again, like everybody else, they're on PCS, and we use PCS tender for those submissions to come in. At the end of this month, we've got a large waste management agreement about to go out, about 10 lots split into regional and technical lots. And we have a sustainable furniture tender going out at the end of June as well. And again, it's very much split down by lots, and sustainability is quite key with regards to that. We're currently working on a library management system, online streaming, and we currently have a periodicals tender that's just gone out this morning. So just some of the things that are going. Towards the end of this year, we have insurance services and quite a large PPE equipment one that we're doing as well. So just a selection of things, but again, there's more information at the stand on our website, and we also feed that into Scottish Government that gets put on their website too.
Just one thing just to add is we are looking at, well, you can look at all the forward plans in the annual reports. We are looking at whether there's a way we can pull them together to create a one central pipeline for you just to make it easier on PCS. That's part of our forward plan on how we can do things to make it easier for you.
That's great, Nikki, because I can see there's a lot of questions coming in here about how do we know in advance about what tenders are coming up. And we know from the work we do, it's so important to be informed so you can start to plan and get tender ready for these opportunities. So I think that's really useful that there's going to be an update to the forward plan. As I say, all the representatives today have stands here, so go along and talk to them and ask them what they have in their plan. Question here is about feedback. How can I get feedback and what's the expected timeline for feedback for when they're bidding for contracts and maybe they've not been successful? Claire, do you want to start with that? Sorry, you're first in my line of sight here.
We would ask that you contact through PCS tender, which is where all our submissions come in, and ask for a debrief. You might want a written debrief, but you can also ask for a verbal debrief or a face-to-face debrief. What we do also recommend is even some people who are successful, they might be rank 3 or rank 4 in that framework. I guess nobody has the perfect bid, so we actually still advise people to phone up for feedback, even if you have been successful, because there's always ways to improve for future contracts, etc. So that's how we do it. But timeline-wise, we should get back to you very, very quickly. And obviously, with regards to if it's written, we'll provide that in a few days. But if it's face-to-face, it would be agreeing a time that suits both parties to meet.
Most of what we do, in fact, all of what we do is above the threshold. So it's very, it's laid out in terms of when we have to give you feedback. Our Reg 85 letters are extensive in terms of the level of detail that we give, but we are also very, very open to giving you more. So, you know, you would just get in touch via the usual channels, and the team would respond to that because we're really keen to support suppliers to get better. So please don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah, I think that's the same for ourselves. You know, most of our or all of our frameworks will be over the threshold, so you'll get a formal reply within 10 days against the award criteria. And I think that's the important thing for me is that our tenders and our competitions set out the award criteria. And if you're kind of considering bidding, you know, really focus on those to understand what we're asking for, because it's taken quite a while to put those specs together, to work with our clinicians and our other technical experts to understand what they actually need. And so we put that down, and that's where what your bid is considered against, and that's the feedback we'll give you against those award criteria. So it is quite specific, and it will be hopefully helpful to understand where your bid may have fallen short if you didn't get onto the framework. So hopefully that's useful.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, how can I increase my chances of being awarded work once on a framework? So for people who have got there, how do they help themselves to win more work off that framework? Julie, do you want to go first?
This is a subject that I'm quite passionate about. I think there's an assumption that once you get on a framework, the work will just flow in, and that's not always the case. Because councils have got a choice about how they use the framework. We really encourage suppliers that are on a framework to contact councils, remind them that you are now part of that framework and ask to go and see them. We've actually got examples of, there was a supplier in Renfrewshire who was only supplying to Renfrewshire, who ended up supplying most of Scotland. And the reason for that was they had an excellent marketing and sales strategy once they got on that framework. So we would encourage you to think about your strategy for when you're on and not just getting on.
I think that's why we have a really close relationship with our health board procurement teams. So when a national framework is let, we also issue a buyer's guide, and the buyer's guide is then picked up by our health board colleagues, and they'll look at those to say what's their current expenditure in this area, what does the buyer's guide tell them in terms of how we get to the best quality, best value outcomes, and do they have to change locally? So the change process is managed through the health boards with support from our national procurement team, and we meet every month, and we go through what's called a gap analysis, and it shows you the gap between what is the the opportunity that's in the buyer's guide and what the health boards have been able to deliver locally. So that's how we try and move towards the best value outcomes that have been awarded within the frameworks.
All I would add to that is for the national frameworks, if you just Google Scottish Government national contracts, you'll see our website there which lists all of our national contracts, and you can go in and look at the buyer's guides, because we all provide buyer's guides for the use of our frameworks to ensure they're picked up properly and we can eke out everything we can, you know, from a social, economic and environmental perspective through the frameworks. So yeah, same, but you have to work to go and be visible.
Great top tip, Nikki. You wanted to add something, Gordon?
I was just going to say, and get your best deals on the table and your best ideas on the table. You know, don't hold back when you're putting your stuff in there. That's your chance to get your unique offering across to us. So please think about that as well.
I can see we're about to run out of time, so I think one last question here. If we have a service we think you need, but it's not yet listed in your procurement frameworks, can we influence the forward plans? That's a good question. Julie? Oh, Gordon's going first this time.
Sorry, I was just going to say that if you've got a unique or novel idea, then we have our innovation portal. So Scotland Innovates is where you put that idea in, and we would consider that. My team help with that. We have people who triage that. And we can link that through to our research and development, or through to our Centre for Sustainable Delivery, which is where we bring innovations into NHS. We're trying to create a new approach to this, where we have clear landing zones for innovation. So you can come in, it can be linked in to the expert groups, people can consider it. We have an accelerated national innovation programme called ANYA, and my team support that as well. And so the NHS is very much focused on where can we get new ideas, new technology, new innovation in, and that's where we would consider and build it into our overall contracting programme.
Right, we're just down to the last minute now, so we have got some more questions that have come in that, but we're probably not going to have a chance to answer them. But I do strongly recommend that you go and visit the stands and you can speak to the individual organisations directly on that. I would just like to thank the panel for being here today. It's great to have all four of you on board. I know we've had quite a short session, but you have the opportunity, as I say, to go into the exhibition area and go and visit each of the stands, and you can hear from Scotland Excel coming up. Just like to remind you that we have got a poll running today, and that you can tick the boxes on that and see if the session's met your expectations, and let us know if there's anything else we can be doing for you. And thank you very much for attending, and thank you to our panel.